Well, what's good in the interweb subscribers? Ted here, and welcome back to Drama with Ted and Tina. Today, we're going to take a journey through a wild saga that's going to keep you wanting more. I promise I won't disappoint. Let's get into it. I'm 35, my wife is 34, and we've been married for 8 years. Together for 10. That's a full decade of shared takeout orders, debates about the right way to load the dishwasher, and surviving 3 different couch buying experiences without getting divorced. We've had a marriage full of real-life stuff. Joy, frustration, laughter, forgiveness, weird family holidays, and plenty of nights watching a show we both pretend we still like because neither of us wants to admit it's gotten terrible. We don't have kids. Not because we didn't want them. We did. We tried for years. Went to appointments, took the supplements, and lived by a calendar that told us when to be hopeful and when to be crushed. There were names picked, nursery Pinterest boards made, and even a tiny giraffe plushie we bought in a moment of reckless optimism. It still sits in a closet somewhere. Eventually, we accepted it wasn't in the cards, or at least I thought we did. Life moved forward. Birthdays came and went. Anniversaries were marked by dinners and Instagram captions, and we kept walking side by side like nothing had shifted beneath the surface. Today, during my lunch break, I decided to switch things up. Normally, I eat at my desk like a respectable corporate zombie, phone in one hand, existential dread in the other. But today felt different. I needed air, something fresh. I craved something caffeinated and unfamiliar. So I left the office, took a walk, and wandered into one of those hip neighborhoods full of boutique coffee shops where everything smells like sandalwood and success. I passed a few places before settling on one I might actually try. As I stood across the street debating whether I was bold enough to order something called a matcha rose cloud, I saw her, my wife, walking out of a different cafe, smiling beside a man I instantly recognized from her office. A cool coworker from her holiday party, the one in the tight turtleneck who explained kombucha like it was philosophy. They walked closely, not touching but not distant either. Their energy was easy, familiar. Then they stopped. Greg leaned in and casually slid his arm around her waist like it was something he'd done before. She didn't flinch. She smiled, leaned into him, and kissed him. A real kiss, not a peck, not a joke. The kind you give someone who isn't your husband. I froze on the sidewalk, latte dreams forgotten, watching the moment my marriage cracked wide open across the street like a quiet, personal apocalypse. I couldn't move. I stood there like someone had unplugged my brain, my body turning into a mannequin dressed in betrayal. Everything around me blurred into background noise, the buzz of the street, the murmur of other conversations, a nearby guy ranting on a speakerphone about crypto. None of it mattered. The only thing I could see was the way she looked at him, the way her body relaxed into his, and the way they walked off together afterward, completely unaware that I had been there at all. My chest felt hollow. It was more like something had been scooped out without warning, and I was standing there trying to figure out what part of me was missing. I started walking with no real direction, just letting my feet move so I wouldn't collapse. I think I bought a smoothie at some point. Banana? Strawberry? I hate banana, but I drank it anyway because it gave my hands something to do. I don't even remember going back to the office. I just sat at my desk. I think someone asked me a question. I think I nodded. I spent the rest of the day in a fog, too numb to think, too broken to feel. The only thing I knew for sure was that I couldn't go home. Not tonight. Not yet. Instead, I texted her. I told her my friend Mark was going through something and needed company. I said I'd be crashing at his place. She replied almost immediately with a message that said, "Aw, you're such a good friend. Tell him I hope he's okay. Love you." That emoji, that cheerful, innocent little pink heart emoji felt like a slap. A digital kiss goodnight. It felt like a digital kiss goodnight from someone who had kissed someone else just hours before, and just no clue that the version of me she thought was out helping a friend was sitting in his car, too ashamed to even admit to himself how shattered he really felt. Here I am, feeling lost and alone, in the backseat of my car, parked behind a grocery store, wrapped in a hoodie that still smells like our last laundry day. I've got a half-eaten protein bar on the passenger seat, and Spotify is serving me the most emotionally devastating playlist imaginable, as if the algorithm sensed my collapse and said, "Ah yes, now is the time for sad piano covers of 2000s love songs." I've been sitting here thinking about everything. About our history. About the little things I thought meant something. About the anniversary dinners and shared vacation. We reminisce about a time when we were stranded in a rainstorm during a camping trip, laughing for 20 minutes as we dried our clothes on the dashboard. I keep asking myself when it changed. When we stopped being the people who clung to each other during thunderstorms and became the kind of people who kept secrets behind coffee shop doors. I want to be angry. I want to scream, cry, punch something, drive to her office and throw a latte in the dud's face. But I'm too exhausted. I'm too confused. And the truth is, I still love her. Even now. Even after what I saw. Even after this night. I love her with the kind of loyalty that doesn't go away just because reality changed without warning. I don't know what comes next. I don't know if I confront her tomorrow or the next day, or if I just keep pretending until I've built up enough courage to hear her version of the truth. All I know right now is that I'm here in this car, cold and uncomfortable, heartbroken and unsure, and I never even got that damn latte. Last night was one of the hardest nights of my life. I spent it in the car, needing space to process everything. A hotel wasn't an option for reasons I've explained elsewhere. Knowing my wife's routine and that she leaves for work before I do, I returned home in the morning after she had already left to shower and change before heading to work myself. Last night was easily one of the hardest, most emotionally exhausting nights of my life, and I say that as someone who once had food poisoning on an overnight bus to Vegas. I spent it in my car, not because I loved the luxurious lumbar support of a 2012 Kia Soul, but because I needed space to process what I saw. A hotel wasn't an option for reasons I won't rehash, but let's just say that sleeping upright with a hoodie for a pillow really drives the betrayal home. Understanding my wife's morning routine and her tendency to leave before me, I arrived home after her departure. I snuck in like a sad little raccoon, took a quick shower, changed clothes, and headed to work, as if I hadn't just experienced the emotional equivalent of being hit by a freight train full of espresso and unresolved issues. Mentally, I'm in a weird place. I'm hurt. Deeply. There's a hollow feeling in my chest that wasn't there 2 days ago. I keep thinking about everything we've built. The life, the plans, and the endless texts about what's for dinner. And now it feels like someone came in and bulldozed it while I was out grabbing coffee. I've been trying to pinpoint any signs I might have missed. Red flags, blinking caution lights. There was a subtle aroma of kombucha, suggesting that it wasn't solely from Whole Foods. Anything. We've always talked things through. Communicated well. At least I thought we did. Work has been overwhelming her recently, resulting in fewer conversations. Nothing alarming, just that familiar long-term couple drift. A few months ago, she mentioned missing the spark. We discussed it, agreed it was normal, and made a plan to bring it back. We actually followed through, set aside time for dates, cooked together and experimented a bit. Don't ask. And outside of the usual busyness, I felt like we were on the upswing, which is what makes this entire situation so much more infuriating. I've done the work, I'm present, I shower, I make her coffee without even being asked. I've tried. So the only explanation I can land on right now is that she went looking for excitement elsewhere and somehow found it in a dude who probably has a Pinterest board titled Morning Routines of Disruptors. And the more I sit with that, the more the balance shifts currently. I'm maybe 80% hurt and 20% angry, but I can feel the scale tipping. Allow a few days for the ratio to change, perhaps even sooner if I encounter them together again. As for Greg, the coworker/espresso kissing traitor, I don't know much. All I know is his name and that he collaborates closely with my wife on a significant project. Apparently, he'll also be on the upcoming work trip she's been planning. That's about it. She's never mentioned him beyond that, and I don't know if he's married, dating, or just single and professionally inappropriate. As for Greg, the coworker/latte-kissing traitor, I don't know much. I only know his name, that he works closely with my wife, and that they are both involved in a new project that requires frequent collaboration. I'm assuming he'll be part of the upcoming work trip she's been talking about. She informed me that the trip will comply with strict professional standards. He's never really mentioned him before, and I have no idea if he's married, dating someone, or just roaming the city spreading kombucha wisdom and emotional damage. But if he does have a partner, I should let her know. That's something I want to figure out once I stop vibrating with betrayal long enough to think straight. Here is the rough plan, which is based on approximately 3 hours of sleep and 1 cup of gas station coffee. I've already spoken to a couple of divorce lawyers. We reside in a fault-based state where proving adultery is not only technically useful, but also costly and time-consuming. And of course, we have to be legally separated before filing, which feels like an annoying hurdle when I've already emotionally filed for the end of this marriage. Tonight, I plan to go home, pretend everything is fine, an Oscar-worthy performance is upcoming, and gather more information. I'm eager to discover the depth of this relationship. When I confront her, I will share one thing I know, and I will wait to see what she admits. Think of it as a betrayal-themed escape room. If she lies, I'll know, and if she's honest, well, then we'll go from there. I've already taken a few precautionary steps. I have successfully opened a new bank account. I also applied for a credit card solely in my name. I have updated HR to ensure that I receive my next paycheck directly. I'm not letting her use another cent of my income to fund cappuccinos and candlelit brainstorming sessions with Greg. If she wants to ride off into the ethically gray sunset with him, she can do it on her own dime. I also plan to use work as a reason to avoid intimacy, both emotional and physical. Honestly, burying myself in emails and spreadsheets is a lot easier than trying to fake affection while my insides feel like a kicked-over Lego set. Therapy. Yes, that will happen, just not yet. Currently, it's easier to type this all out like some digital confessional than to say it out loud. Talking makes it feel real, and I'm not ready for that. I haven't told any friends or family. The lawyers, on the other hand, struck me. Their approach felt clinical and strategic, setting them apart from others. However, revealing this to someone? Getting familiar with me would be a daunting task. It would expose me in ways I'm not prepared to handle. I'll get there. Probably. For now, you're my therapist, Reddit. Congratulations. One more thing. I've scheduled an appointment with my doctor to get STI testing. Here we are. Just one more consequence of someone else's selfishness. For context, my wife and I don't work normal 9-to-5 jobs. We do many client meetings, travel around the city, and our schedules are flexible. That means many random lunches and coffee stops between locations. We've worked this way for years and somehow never bumped into each other during the day. Until yesterday, the one day I decided to be spontaneous, the one day I stepped outside my routine, and the universe said, "Cool, here's your front row seat to your marriage falling apart. I hope you like plot twists." Feelings of betrayal. I found out everything, and somehow it's worse than I imagined. Last night, while my wife was in the shower, humming along to the same Spotify playlist she probably shared with her boyfriend, I checked her phone. No passcode. Bold choice for someone cheating. Maybe she thought I wouldn't look, or maybe she got so used to lying to my face that she forgot phones are, in fact, tiny betrayal machines. Either way, she slipped. I opened her phone, and there it was. A separate messaging app. What was inside? Everything. Thousands of messages. A digital novella of betrayal, complete with photos, pet names, flirty emojis, and late-night chats happening while I was lying next to her, dreaming about our future while she was texting him about missed moments. This wasn't a fling. It was a full-blown secret relationship, complete with fake meetings, cozy hotel stays, and enough sweet nothings to make my stomach turn. The worst part? She used the same phrase on him that she once used on me when we were falling in love. "You make me feel alive." That was ours. It was our thing, and now it's just recycled material in a rerun starring a man named Greg and my dignity. And just when I thought I'd reached peak emotional damage, the universe said, wait, there's more. A few months ago, I booked us a cabin getaway, a weekend to reconnect, to unplug, to maybe pretend our lives weren't being held together by meal planning and mutual exhaustion. The day before we were supposed to leave, she told me she had to cancel because work sent her to another city for urgent client meetings. She was so apologetic, borderline dramatic. I remember feeling bad for her having to miss it. Turns out she didn't miss it. She gave the reservation to him. I found the booking confirmation in their thread, and then I saw the photos of them by the lake, them in front of a fireplace, holding wine glasses like a couple on a Hallmark movie set. That weekend, the one I planned for us, she turned it into their romantic escape. I can't even describe the gut punch that came with seeing those pictures. It wasn't just that she cheated. It was that she took something I planned from a place of love and turned it into a private couple's retreat with the same guy who probably owns decorative twinkle lights and calls them ambient. I nearly threw her phone across the room. But I didn't, because unfortunately it was now also a storage device for my emotional collapse. When she came out of the shower, she immediately knew something was wrong. Turns out when your husband looks like he's been hit by a memory truck, it's hard to keep up the illusion. I asked her if she had anything to tell me. She said, no. Bold. I pushed harder. I told her I knew. The texts, the hotels, the lunches, all of it. And just like that, the barrier collapsed. She started crying and apologizing, saying it was a mistake, that she got caught up in the excitement, that she missed the thrill of something new. You know, like a dog who gets bored of its own yard and bolts because someone across the street has a better bone. I asked if she loved him. She said no, that she loved me, that she wanted to be with me. I asked if she slept with him. She said yes, just like that, no hesitation, no buildup, a simple, soul-crushing yes. After hearing that, I told her she destroyed me, that she took everything we built and shattered it like a wine glass at a wedding with bad footing. She kept apologizing, crying, begging, saying she didn't want him, that she wanted me and she'd do anything to fix this. I told her I was done, that there was no coming back from this. She didn't stop pleading. She kept insisting she didn't want to lose me and that it wasn't love, just a mistake. I didn't care. I'd heard enough. I told her to sleep in the guest bedroom. When she asked for her phone back, I told her no. She started to argue, but I cut her off. I told her if she took it from me, I'd leave. That was the line. She backed off. I think it shocked her, honestly. Not because I drew a boundary, but because I finally stopped trying to hold everything together. That was the first time I'd seen her truly speechless. And I've said some wild things during arguments in the past. But this silence? It wasn't the usual cold shoulder routine. It was stunned, empty silence, like she realized she wasn't in control anymore. So yeah, this is probably my last update, because I'm done pretending there's anything left to save. Tomorrow, I'm going to his house. I was able to locate the address in her Google Maps history. Technology, destroying relationships and solving them in equal measure. I've printed the entire message thread along with the photos. His wife, whoever she is, deserved to know. I'm not doing it out of vengeance, it's justice. If my life exploded, why should she be walking around thinking everything's fine while her husband plays footsie under the table during fake client lunches? I'll also be confronting him directly. No yelling, no drama, just facts. He deserves to see the face of the man whose life he helped dismantle. I'm done being the nice guy, done crying in my car, done clinging to something that clearly meant more to me than it did to her. This isn't heartbreak anymore, this is clarity. And as painful as it is, it's also liberating. At least now, I know exactly who I'm dealing with, and I never have to waste another second on them. What a start to a sage you don't want to miss. Stay tuned for part 2 because it's just get more unbelievable. Hit the like and subscribe buttons on your way out. Ted, leaving the building.